coach and head track coach for the last 30 years, winning 2 state championships in track, 11 state championships in football. And when you talk about good people, the more you get to know him, the more you realize why he's successful and why people enjoy him being a coach. It's not just because of the X's and O's, it's because of the other things. And I'll be honest, one of the things that I remember most about Chuck Kyle is my first year as a varsity coach, 2006, 2007 in track. We're at an indoor meet at Cloverleaf, and everybody's leaving, all the kids are leaving, and what do I look over there? What do I see? I see Chuck Kyle going over and picking garbage up off the ground. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's got all these rings and he's picking garbage up that the kids left behind. So he's there, obviously showing that he's here to serve the kids and serve the community and do the things that are necessary to help out and make things right. So without further ado, the face of Ohio high school football, Chuck Kyle.
Good morning. I thank you for coming today. Hopefully this will be very, very worthwhile. I think it will be for you. And hopefully it's going to be very good for football, to be honest with you. Just very, very quickly, please realize that football is under attack, right? Everybody good? Yeah, we are. The game is under attack. Now, how fair that is, let's not worry about that. But the problem is it's under attack, and what's basically the issue? The safety idea is being, the spotlight is put on football. Now that occurs because, think about it, man, you know, years ago, when I was a young guy, it's a long time to say the 50s and the 60s, okay? And you're playing for Paul Brown or you're playing for Vince Lombardi, and you show up Tuesday and you have a headache, were those guys going to walk up to Vince Lombardi and Paul Brown and go, hey, I have a headache, I can't play this week? They weren't going to do that. They're feeding their families, right? And so, also, if you're watching TV back then, there were a lot of Westerns. How about this? Most of the time in one of those Westerns, you know what would happen? One guy would take the butt of the gun and hit the other guy over the head with it, and the guy would be knocked out, all right? But a minute later, the guy goes, gets back on his horse, rides after the other guy, and everything's okay. So what did we project? There's no big deal when you get knocked out. There's no big deal. You just go like this and get back on your horse and you ride. Or everyone go like that and get back on the field. Because that's the way it was projected. So what did we have? We would hear, oh, I got dinged, right? I got my bell rung. And we'd go back and play. And that was the way it was. Why? Well, there was no research. To be very, very honest with you, there was really no research. There wasn't any need to be. And now what has happened because of that, some of the older pro football players have realized there were some issues because why? They had several knockouts or whatever. I was at a meeting with talking about the future of football. There's Roger Staubach and Archie Manning. And Roger Staubach sits there and goes, are you kidding? I got knocked out cold 3 games. Cold. They had to carry me out. And how many times I got my bell rung? He goes, are you kidding? But he goes, but that was the way we lived. That's the way it wasn't any major concern. The research in concussions, and I'm focusing on that first of all, most of the research, 90% of the research in concussions has taken place in the last 12 years. 12 years, okay? And as a result, yes, you can go to USA Football being certified. And I can understand. You go there going, well, this is kind of obvious. The state has us do these sort of things. Okay, why has the state been doing it? It's because years ago, USA Football was saying, hey, we need to inform these coaches about what is going on with heat and so on. So what was important was the years ago, a guy who played football 20 years prior to this, he'd come up to his kids, his kid would get out of the car and go to practice, and the guy would go, hey, you know, I played 20 years ago. I'll come down and help you coach. That's what was going on. And those days are over. We can't do that. There's no way you can do that anymore. But that's what was happening. And so, men, I think, if I may ask this question, how many here believe that the game of football is safer today than it was 10 years ago? Show of hands. Okay, take a look around. It is. It is safer. And why has that happened? Because people started saying, wait a minute, there's an issue. And we have to talk about concussion and research it. We have to talk about heat problems and all equipment fitting. Can you guys remember when you guys were young? First day of getting equipment, what did they do? They unlocked the storage door, didn't they? And you stood in line. And they went like, okay, here's your pad and here's your helmet. And you know, shaking around and the pad was all over the place, right? That's what they did, all right? Now, come on, litigation, you can't do that. You can't do that anymore, right? You gotta know how to fit it and do it right. I'm just introducing this a little bit because as tedious as it may be at times going to these, what USA Football started a number of years ago, there's a reason for it, okay? There's this young kid and his parents, and the kid goes, I wanna go out for football, and he shows up for your meetings. You know what the parent wants to hear? They don't want, is my kid gonna be safe? I mean, does this coach know what he's doing? And that's why this takes place. That's why you're here. That's why there's a whole lot of research going on. And if you can turn and say, well, I just want you parents to know that all the coaches that will be working with your son, they're all certified. Now, as a parent, doesn't that feel better? It should. Yes, that these coaches are taking the time to understand what's needed in the game. You know, the concussion issue, man, what sport is footing the bill, and I'll say it honestly, footing the bill for the research in concussion? You know what sport it is? It's football. Okay? You think the helmet manufacturers would be doing this? No, they're not. I think one helmet manufacturer has shelled out for concussion research about $250,000. That's it. The NFL has already done $60 million into research. Okay? Do you think hockey is doing that? No. I'm not knocking it, but they don't have the money to do it. And any other sport, they don't have the money to do it. So all the other sports are going, come on, football, get it done. But meanwhile, right now, fellas, there's 100 court cases on the docket about hockey. 100. 100 on past NHL players suing their league. Same thing football was going through how many years ago? Because it's all still happening, okay? And the point of the matter is, yes, we have to work to make it a safer game. And again, you raise your hand, so you agree. It is a safer game. We are doing it better. And we have to keep working at it, okay? Now, as a result, let's get to what's really an important thing, what we have to talk about here. As a result of some of this information, and the number one cause of concussions, by the way, is what? Not football, a kid falling off his bike. That's number one, okay? Other sports, yeah, they got them, but the spotlight's on football. You know that little bike helmet, right? Isn't that cute? Yeah. That's for preventing skull fractures. It has nothing to do with concussions, okay? And football, years and years ago, why was there even a helmet? Well, they put those little cloth helmets on. You've seen the history of football, right? A long time ago. Yeah, it prevents skull fractures. So the helmet has done its job. You don't have too many guys dying of skull fractures from football. But the concussion's an issue, all right? And so as equipment is improving, the technique has to improve. And our approach to football has to improve, okay? And yes, there's other injuries too, sure. But the point of the matter is, you know, when a kid sprains his ankle, I don't think the parent's going to really get that upset, right? But if it deals with the head, they should be upset, okay? But if we handle it right, and any doctor will tell you, if we handle it right, if we handle the procedure correctly, kids should be fine. But unfortunately, again, you feel all right? Go back in. And then we can't do that. So that's why with USA Football for how many years it's been health issues. That's all. Health issues. believe me, a message you have to tell your parents, what's the bigger risk for those kids? Being inactive is a way bigger risk than the concussion issue in America, for sure. Kids are not, there's so many kids now doing nothing. And that is horrible for their future. Come on, what are they doing? They're sitting on the couch playing football this way instead of going out playing. So we got to get them back out. Now, let's get to our point. Flag football. The kids are having fun. And what research has shown, there's a lot of kids playing flag football. And that's a wonderful thing. They're out there being active. Number one, they're having fun. What has research showed us? They finish flag football and there is a drop in participation all over America. And why is that? Okay, now what does football have? Well, you go from flag football right now to 11-man tackle football. That's what we've done. Now, today we're going to look at, and I hope you're open-minded about this, because if you care about the game, we have to do something. Okay? We have to do something. And the Mentor District, of all the places in the nation, I'm working with Steve Trevisano on this, of all the programs in the nation, here's one they want to be a pilot for what we're trying to do. So I hope you're open to hear this, because the Mentor program, as we do this, would be really shown all over the nation. And there's a lot of interest growing in what we're doing here. But the Mentor program, because of your efforts, and Steve's efforts, and high school efforts helping out, is a perfect program to show this, to test it, and to make it into something that could be very, very positive for the game of football. Now here's the thing. Here's the parents. They played flag football, the kid enjoys it, but is he ready to go 11-man football? And there's a concern. The parents are a little, well, we'll wait 2 years. Now you're involved in youth football. That waiting of 2 years, that's not what I think we want. The kid's having fun, we'd like to keep them going. Once they get into junior high and the kid's still playing, he's going to keep playing, okay? But there's that dip in participation that is a concern. All right, now here's what we're talking about. Other sports, if you look at basketball, what did basketball do? Well, here are the little kids. They lowered the rim for the little kid, right? The ball's smaller, a lot of 3-on-3, right? And then they gradually move them up to 5-on-5, okay? Baseball. Here's the little kids. Well, what do? There's T-ball, isn't there? And the kid hits the T-ball. Great. What's the next step after that? Coach's pitch. The coach pitches it to him. The kid hits. The infields are smaller. All right. Notice what other sport? Hockey. Hockey plays a half a rink sort of thing. Soccer has smaller goals and limited field. All these other sports kind of done this before us. They've realized that here's a young kid. Let's limit the area. Let's get the activity so it fits their size and that they're having fun. The issue, maybe it's arrogance on our part, but we said, okay, flag football, let's go, 11-man football. And what's happened, when I was a kid, we started that in 6th grade. We started tackle football in 6th grade. But look what we've done. We've kind of moved that down because other sports were starting earlier, but we didn't adjust the game a little bit for them. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, and we've experimented with it. We've done some scrimmage with it, and it has shown to be a fun game and a game that helps get the kid into it. What are we looking at here? We're looking at here the kid is just, he's at that age where he should move on to some tackle football. Okay? He's done the flag, they're having fun. All right, so what's going on is a pathway. And the pathway is this. We're looking at flag football to what we're calling rookie tackle, which is a modified tackle game. They've got equipment on, they're tackling. And from there, after a year or so, then they move into 11-man tackle, youth, right? And then hopefully the full game that we have. So it is tackle, but it gives them a chance to adjust to it and get used to it before we just throw them into 11-man football. Now, if I may, if you'd hit that. Okay. Here's the field. If you take a look at it, we've been playing this game with these little kids, a 100-yard field, okay? The field was designed for men to play. It was designed for men. But it's too big for the little kids, to be honest with you. You guys play youth football, okay? If your team has it way back on the 20-yard line, has to drive 80 yards, are they going to drive 80 yards? If you have a team that young that can drive 80 yards, wow, that's amazing. It's harder than hell to do that in high school. Little kids. But what'd you have? Well, you were the best team in the league if you had the fastest kid. Right? Because what did you do? Come on. You pitched it out to that kid. And he ran like hell to that sideline. And he turned up and he ran for a touchdown. There's your 80-yard drive. You're the best team in the league. It's all good. What's going on? Okay? The field's too big. Okay? It was just too big. So, what we're looking at is, instead of the 100, okay, here's the point. If you take the field, first of all, 7 kids on each side, and I'll show you this in a minute. 7 kids on each side. Okay? So flag usually has about 7, right? Put them in equipment now, but there's 7 kids on each side. Okay? Now what have we seen? We've seen that if you start that game with a limited field, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, all those 7 kids are running. And all those 7 kids are very, very active. If you look at your films of 11 on 11 with little kids, come on fellas, you've seen the same thing I've seen. If the ball's running over there, what do the 3 or 4 guys over on the other side do? They kind of go, all right, let's go. And they're watching, all right? But if you have 7 guys out in that field, all 7 have to move. They're running. It's a very active game. Now, to move on, sidelines. Here's what we scrimmaged this at Solon, North Royalton, and at Parma. And it worked very well. The sidelines are the top of the numbers. Okay? So we put these little disc cones at the top of the numbers. All right? You start on the 40-yard line and try to take it in. So you can have 2 games going on a football field at the same time, which helps in facilities. When you run a play, say it goes to the left sidelines, gain of 3, the official takes the ball, brings it right back to the middle of the field. Okay, so there's never really a wide side, it's always placed in the middle. It's 1st and 10, and we'll go down the list of rules here. I'm having you picture it first. Okay, 1st and 10. Trying to drive it down. No punts, no kickoffs. It's just simply playing football. Okay? Now, what happens? All right, another show of hands. Your friend had a pretty good backyard. Everybody picture you're a young kid, and your buddy had a pretty good backyard. So what game did you play in that backyard? You played football in that backyard. Now that's not a 100-yard football field, right? It's not, it was a pretty decent backyard. Did you play touch or did you play tackle? You played tackle, fellas. Did you have equipment on? You didn't have equipment on. We all did this. Don't lie. You did. I did it. All of us did this. We played tackle football in that kid's backyard. And you had how many guys? Well, maybe you had 6 or 7 on one side, 5 or 6 on the other, right? And you played for how many hours there? If you quit before 3 hours, you're wimps. Man, you had to play all afternoon, didn't you? No one knew what the hell. You didn't know the score, but you know you were 1 touchdown up or 2, didn't you? Everybody picture me? That's what you did. That's what we all did. Fellas, did any of you get hurt? Anybody get hurt? No. I got a bloody nose. No, lip. Hey, oh, I got a bloody lip. You didn't get hurt. I didn't. We didn't get hurt. Can you guys, let's think why. If that field were really, really wide and really, really long, somebody would have gotten hurt. Why? Physics tells us what? If you got that much momentum and that much speed and you hit someone, guess what's going to happen? It's going to hurt. And you need equipment. What are you doing? But notice what we did. We were in a backyard. There's what? Maybe 30 yards down that way and 20 yards that way. And look what happened. You were tackling, but you never gathered up at that much speed, nor did you get that much momentum to have those hits to be that vicious. Can I use that word? And you tackled and you went down and everybody was okay. We were kids then. We were kids. And so that's the idea here. One of the ideas is that we limit the field because it fits their bodies. Okay? And we've talked about a bigger kid out there. Well, now the bigger kid, right? Come on, fellas. He's played flag football and he can do any position because it's flag. All right, some of the bigger guys out here, right? As soon as you went to tackle football, what position did they move you to? They moved you right to the line, didn't they? And if you're a third grader, you're going, huh? Really? You mean I can't, play football? No, you're a big kid, so you're on the line because you got equipment on it. Well, that poor kid is kind of young to be making that career decision. You know that? And meanwhile, by the time he gets to be 8th grade or freshman, his body may have changed a bit, and now he's a tall, lengthy guy that could be a pretty good receiver, but he's been sentenced to the offensive line at a very early age. And so the kid goes, hey, it's not fun. I'm going to go do something else. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. So the point of the matter is, this is what flag football, and then let's look at this game. We're going to look at it here a little more. And then, as the kid, yeah, I like it. I'm getting used to tackling. I'm getting used to the whole idea of the equipment. Okay, you're a confident kid? Let's move on to the 11 man. Let's play it. Because, fellas, let's admit something. You're running a drill. You're an 11-man tackle football. And you're practicing and you're running a drill. You notice the kids that get in front of the line? They get in the front of the line again and again. Did you happen to notice the 3 kids in the back of the line, fellas? Because all of us have those guys. Those 3 kids didn't go into the drill, did they? Every team has those. They hang back. Now, fellas, those kids aren't cowards. They are not cowards. We cannot do that to that kid. He's not a coward. He's just not ready yet for that. Okay, he had 3 sisters. Poor kid. He's the only boy, and he's all of a sudden there he is. He's out there. Come on, let's get into this tackling drill. Well, and he's seeing these other guys. I was the youngest of 4 boys, fellas. I'm not the biggest guy. But you know how many times I got thrown into the wall? I mean, if I wanted to play, I had to get out there, and I couldn't cry. Got it? So then I'm doing, man, come on, kid, you got to play with us. So I went out there. So when football started, I'm like, let's do this thing. But here's some of these other guys like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not ready for this. See that kid? We got to keep that kid playing. Okay? We got to keep that kid playing. So that's what we're going to try to do. So when we're talking about this pathway, again, here's flag football. And then there's this adjustment. Let's not throw him into the deep end of the pool yet. Let's let him learn how to do this, get his technique going. And then when he's confident, the parents are enjoying it, let's say, okay, now let's try 11 man. Let's see how it goes. Everybody following? And this is something we need. Let's hit a button. Okay. So like we said, here's soccer. That's the full soccer field, but you know what they do? They get 4 games going on. Here's a little kid that get 2 or 3 or 4 games going on at the same time. They figured that out. Hockey, yeah, there's the hockey rink, but they got kids playing this way, okay, with the nets there. So picture here's Menor Stadium or Orange Stadium or Mayfield Stadium, right? And here's the youth guys coming in there about 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning on a Saturday, whenever you guys want to do that. And Ray Tweet, there's 2 games going on. See the middle field? So you've got already 4 teams playing. The modified or rookie game, the way we're setting it up. How long will it take to play the game? It'll be over in 1 hour and about 10 minutes. It'll be over. Will the kid be tired? He will be. Will the parents be happy? Yes. It only took 1 hour and 15. They can go home and dad can go golf and mom is happy. And the kid is tired. He's tired. And he's learning the game, he's having fun. That's what that's showing. Okay? So picture it. You have a stadium like that, you could have 8 teams playing in like 2.5 hours, they're done. slide. Let's hit something here. All right, now I'm gonna have you hit that other one. You know what I mean? With my. Okay, just take a look at the field here for a second to imagine this. All right. So if you guys picture, the numbers are now the sideline. Okay. The ball's on the 40-yard line. There's 2 guards in the center. The center, and then walk with me here. Now walk with me on this. The center is the only lineman in the 3-point stance because he's got to snap the ball. I know right now we're all going, what? We're not teaching the 3-point stance? All right, fellas, first of all, you notice the little kid in a 3-point stance? Okay. His core is not ready for the 3-point stance. Come on. It's this sort of, here I am. Okay, and great, we got him in that 3-point stance because that's what football does. But wait a minute. Did you notice what he does right at the snap? He goes like this. He just stands up, and then you know, those kids get to the high school coach and go, what? We got them, they're playing too high. They're playing too high, we got to get them lower. Well, we taught them to do that. We taught them to stand up. So, I'm throwing it, what we're talking about, see, there's 2 guards, and there's 2 defensive linemen heads up on them. Okay, heads up. And they can both be in a 2-point stance, but it's a low 2-point stance. So if you take your forearms and you put it on the thighs, right like this, and sad hut, what's the kid going to do? As a high school coach, I'll take that. Because what did I do? I punched my arms out, and I rolled my hips, and I kept driving the kid. And the defensive guys are head up right there doing the same thing. If the kid develops that skill, what's left? Okay, now that you're good at that, put your hand on the ground and roll it up. And guess what? The progression is good. What also have we done? Notice the head's away. We're not bouncing the heads into people. Okay? Those that coach offensive line, that's a drill that you do all the time. It's in the 2-point stance, punch out and roll your hips. But let's ask the kids to do something that they physically can do. Why would you have the defensive lineman have? Young kids, as soon as you put a kid in a gap, what happens? He'll blow right through. And the poor kid that's the center, what is it? He's got to snap the ball. That poor little kid is not ready to do all the things needed. So he's just trying to get the ball back there, you know. Oh, good, I got it back. Here's some guy blowing through. He's not going to help on that block. So then the guy runs in the middle of the court. There's no game. You know, the quarterback's getting hit already. So you put them heads up, and now here we go. You block. The center can snap the ball, get set, and help on a block. Go out and help do some things. If you look, there's linebackers. What's really going to be steady force? The 2 defensive linemen and the free safety kind of head up. Okay? Other than that, you can adjust to the formations. Okay? No blitzing. No. Don't blitz. Why? Well, fellas, I'm glad you can, you know, come up with a great blitz. But let's let the kids play. How about that? If it's about, hey, I can design a great blitz, good job. But let the kid play. The guys who should coach this game should be more interested in what? Hey, I'm going to teach good technique to this kid. I'm going to watch this kid fire out, get good blocking. I'm going to see the defensive lineman fire out, and it's a sweep. I'm going to see him get off that block and get into pursuit. That's the coach would be celebrating, because that's what's needed. Dialing up a super blitz in this late, what kind of kids? Oh, great. Okay, you just smack the quarterback. What good is that? Let's let him play. Let him work. And let him work on technique. That would be where you celebrate. So the adjustments are made by the line. Now again, picture that. It's 1st and 10. They run a sweep to the left. The ball's brought right back in the middle so they can go either way. Now, very important. And you have a bigger son. So before the game begins, what are you trying to match up? Big kid versus big kid? And one of the important rules here would be this. we try to teach each kid 2 offensive positions and 2 defensive. I know that's a challenge, but think about that. Teach each kid 2 offensive positions and 2 defensive positions. So your son's a big kid. Game begins, he's on the line. That first series, there he is, he's doing his thing. But you know what, the next series, you go out to wide receiver now. Now, if the other team is matched up with that big kid, what does that kid do? He goes right with him. And he walks out and he plays well. Defensive back against that big kid. Now, I think that's fun for your son, and I think it's fun for that other big kid. And this is what we found out in the scrimmages. The small, little, quick kid who's receiver or running back, he learns an offensive line position. So the next year he goes in, but it's a small kid with him. Those kids go, I've never played line before. This was kind of fun. Because they've always been just running around doing patterns. Okay? So you're trying to match it up, and it still is fun for the guy, because that's what we need. We need participation and we need fun. Everybody see what I'm saying? How many kids do you need on this team? How many do you need? Well, there's 7 out there at a time. So 12, 14 would probably be the max. Okay? That's all you need. Coach, we don't have many kids coming out for tackle football. How many you get? Well, we got 10. You got a team. You got a team. You got 2 rotating guys. And when other kids find out they're having fun, a couple more may come out. Got it? So it's not one of those things, oh my God, we only have 15 guys for our team. We only have 50. You're good. You're way fine. Because again, this is an active game. No punts, no kickoffs. Okay? No. Because figure this, 1, the skill of punting, they're young. Number 2, that's where what? There's going to be you're sprinting down the field after that punt, right? That poor kid picks it up and he starts running, and these guys have what? 15, 20 yards of momentum, they're hitting them. Well, I don't know. You guys see a youth, that's what I think you're going to get the collision. Okay? When there's only 7 guys, how many pileups are you going to get? You're not going to have many pileups in this. We'll show you some video, a little bit of video tomorrow. There's not many pileups. So what are you seeing? Good one-on-one tackling. Here's that fast running back. You know the kid that wins the league for you? Guess what he has to do now? He has to run and make a cut. And dodge somebody and maybe break a tackle. That sounds like a good running back now. That's good. We want you to do that, kid, and learn how to do that. So that's football, you know? So if you can picture it, that's kind of what, if there's a formation change, you can adjust the linebacker out, move the corner in, things like that. If you look at that. So here. So the corner moved in, the A linebacker moved out here. You're still kind of correcting it, okay? But you still have the 2 defensive linemen and the safety. Okay, everybody see that? Okay? All right, let's go back to the other thing for a second. All right, so just to review quickly, 6, 7, or 8, we're trying to go 7. Players on the field, 14, 7 on a side, 14 is great for a team. Field dimensions, again, 40 yards and 35 and a third is the top of the numbers. Players learn all the positions, at least 2 on offense, 2 on defense, 2-point stance on the line of scrimmage, no special teams. Down there it says 4 8-minute quarters. I don't think, I've got to talk about it. 8 is too quick. I would think if you had running clock and you put 12 minutes on there, with a running clock, that goes pretty quickly. 8 would be really fast. I don't think you get much done. Okay, the last 2 minutes of a half, you can go regulation and get out of bounds and stop the clock and things like that. So 7-minute halftime, so you guys add that up. This game's done in an hour, maybe an hour 5 if you want a bigger timeout. Okay? All right, hit the button. We should be able to. This is when we were at North Royalton. Hit play. This is what it looked like.
Royalton's high school football stadium. But these are no ordinary youth football scrimmages.
What this project we're working on here, it's modified tackle football.
Chuck Kyle is St. Ignatius' head football coach as well as the Cleveland Browns youth football advisor. Kyle, along with the Browns and USA Football, are piloting the program right here in Northeast Ohio.
Really, all the other sports do things like this, right? You know, hockey plays half rink, and basketball has a lower rim. Football, we just went from flag right into 11-man, and we need to do something here.
So what's the difference? Well, 7 players instead of 11.
The only person in a 3-point stance is the center, because he's got to snap the ball. The other linemen are in a 2-point stance, so the heads are up. There's no banging of heads here.
It's different. I feel like it's kind of a mixture of tackle and flag.
And a much smaller playing field, along with no punts, kickoffs, or field goals.
I did get to carry the ball. I didn't score, but I did get it pretty.
You'll score next time.
Yeah, thank you.
And another goal in this is that kids have more fun. With a shorter field, there's a better chance in scoring or even catching.
Most of the kids are 9 to 12 years old, and they get a chance to play all positions.
Give him a shot to be quarterback or something like that, but also, just to be safe. Concussions are such a concern these days.
And for parents, it's a welcome transition from flag to tackle football.
Because it's a limited field, you won't see as much momentum. So there is a safety issue in it, we feel.
We want our kids to be safe, but most importantly, have fun. And this is, right now, watching the game here, the kids are having a great time. So I'm really excited and see if this catches on nationwide.
Okay, here's the plan here that we're looking at. Right now, when we presented this to the high school coaches, they come up to the table and we need this now. We need to get this going in our youth area. It was almost, to launch it nationwide, that would be a little out of control right now, because we're still trying to make sure it's right and actually do some research with it, okay? So what USA Football and the Cleveland Browns, to be honest with you, the Browns are just really the NFL team that's really piloting this. Other NFL teams, great, but they didn't want to get involved. We do, because we want to make sure this is done in our area right, okay? So what we're looking at trying to do is to actually form a league. So here you guys are. Here's the kids that have pretty much finished with flag football. It's time for them to move up, to actually form a team or two, okay, with the mentor group of kids. And again, kid, get used to the helmet. Kid, get used to the equipment. Here, let's start tackling. Okay, and again, the field's not as big, it's a little more control, but you're going to have fun doing this. Now, there's other areas. Solon is going to have a team or two. Perry is looking into it. We're talking a little bit about that. Mayfield is talking about that. What we may be able to do right here on the east side is actually get about an 8-team league of doing this. Okay, that'd be nice. That's what Steve Trevisano would tell me. He'd love to get about 8 teams to do this. Can you guys picture it? Hey, it's Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and there's a game going on Osborne this way and a game going that way, and they're playing for about an hour, then another group comes in. That's 8 teams right there in 2 hours. And they're learning the game of football. They're learning the game of tackle football. There's passing, there's running. What we found out in passing, this is pretty good. I do want to show you, they didn't show you on that video. So you can only rush those 2 guys, and there's 2 guys actually trying to block them. Guess what happened? The quarterback actually got the ball. The quarterback actually dropped back and had time to throw. And the kid launched it, and the kids actually ran patterns, and all 3 scrimmages we had, there was a nice, long touchdown pass right there. The kid, the crowd went crazy, because like, we haven't seen kids do this at this age. The quarterback actually had time to set up and do it, as opposed to just getting the tidal wave hammer him, okay? So it gives, the nice thing about it is, all those skills are being used and being practiced that you'd want to coach this kid to do. Is it tackle football? Oh, yes, it is. This is not going, well, we're simplifying the game, we're making it a sissified game. No, we're not. They're tackling. It's just that what we're getting them used to is doing it properly, the technique that you're teaching, one-on-one good tackling, one-on-one blocking. And the idea of competing, driving down the field, understanding the rules, There'll be 2 officials out there, right? Now, obviously, when it's a 40-yard field, you're not gonna have 15-yard penalties. That would be kind of hard to work with. But maybe a 10-yard penalty. But the officials should be doing what? Helping you coach. Son, that's holding. When you did this, okay, the official can help talk to the kid about that, right? There's a coach in the huddle all the time. There's a coach for the defense. He's right there. All right, everybody lined up right? Everybody good? Everybody knows what we're doing? And a guy in the huddle too, because those kids need you. They need you out there, okay? They're not Tom Brady yet, okay? They're not. So the coach can help line it up and set it up and make sure it's good. And what are you getting? You're getting a lot of good coaching. A lot of good coaching with this. We had 3 scrimmages, fellas. The kids actually were on the field, you know, getting breaks and everything like that. For an hour, they played football for an hour. Not one kid left the field limping, any kind of injury at all. One kid got sick to his stomach because it was hot. Right? It was hot, he ate too much. That was it. And the parents were over there going, I'll have my kid play this. We'll have him play it. This is not taking over 11-man football. We want 11-man football, fellas. I want 11-man football. Trevisano wants it. We want this, but we want kids to stay playing. Everybody seen that? But what this gives us a chance to do is to have those kids learn at a pace that they can be confident with. So no more are you having those 2 or 3 kids standing in the back line going, I shouldn't be here. We want them playing. We want them coming out for football next year. Because that little kid that stood in the back, 2 years from now, maybe he grows. Maybe he's ready to play, but he lost the momentum 2 years ago when he wasn't ready. We don't want to lose that kid. You don't want to lose that kid. Coach, is that going to take away from my 11-man league? Is that going to take away from my 11-man league? What's the goal? To be honest with you, fellas, next year, okay, you may not get that kid, that initial kid coming out who's just finishing flag. He may do that modified. There may be some guys like that. But what's going to happen the following year? You're going to have more kids out because they stick with it. You're going to have kids that have spent a year learning how to block and learning how to tackle at a little less momentum. And what happens? That's a better league now, isn't it? That's the idea, that it would be a better league. With more kids out and better trained. Because how are we going to prevent injuries out on the field, fellas? I mean, it's a game that there's collisions. But when you put a kid in the right position to make a tackle, and you put him in the right position to make a block, he's got a better chance of not getting hurt. If he's not in a good position to make a tackle, if his head's in the wrong way, and now you got a chance of getting hurt. And I know all of you try to do all you can with drills and so on to prevent that situation. But to give it a little bit more time, a little less momentum, could really help in that. Can really do it. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And fellas, I approached Steve Trevisano before our game this year and talked to him about this. I mean, there's a lot of things before the game, but we talked. And I said, Steve, I want you to look at this. Now, he cares about his league, okay? Why? Because kids you're working at, he needs them, okay? He wants your kids to keep playing, okay? And he wants to help. And the high school guy, should be helping in your leagues, okay? And that's very important. And you have a pro football team in this area that point blank believes in what we're talking about here. I'm going to tell you, Jimmy Haslam, I didn't know him a year ago, right? I didn't know him. I sat down and I showed him this, and he goes, this is important. You know why? Jimmy Haslam has grandsons. And he sees this. And I want my grandsons doing that. I can see how this is valuable. So if you keep an open mind about it, we could start something very special in America. And where is it going to start? Right here. Right here. There'll be cameras out there. There'll be doctors. There'll be trainers. Kids will be in GPSs. All the Browns wear them. They're going to measure how much energy the kid uses, how much speed, all that. Yeah. so there's research. Everybody see that? It's gonna be interesting. And what place should do it? A place like Mentor, because it's organized. Man, if you look at the progression, how much change really is it? It's not much. You have flag football, and you have 11-man football, you have youth football that leads into high school football. But there's this one area, this bridge, this transition. That fellas, there's no other answer out there right now. I'm looking in the eye, I'm telling you, there's nothing. And statistics are saying, kids are starting to not play. So if we love this game, we gotta do something, okay? We gotta do something. And that's what we're trying to do. So if, honestly, Steve and I are gonna work together on the, however we do, there's 1 week out of the year. Okay, we gotta play each other. But, you know, that week will be over, and we wait a few months and play the playoffs. But that's beside the point. But what we wanna do is work together with you, okay? And I hope you're open to taking a look at this, because we want those kids still playing, okay? And on this east side, we can get other school districts involved here and have a little bit of a league and invite other coaches to come see it. Please, hey, you know, come on, come see what's happening in Mentor, see what we're trying to do with the game of football. Because I'll tell you what, Cincinnati wants to do this, Columbus wants to do this, but they've seen it, and we're telling them, yeah, okay, give it a year, because then we can show you what really this is about. And what group's going to show it? We're hoping Mentor shows it. Okay, any questions? You guys have a lot to do today, and I just wanted to share that with you. I know it's kind of interesting. Hopefully you're interested in this, looking at this. It's a very, very important moment in football, to be honest with you.
With the exception of North Royalton, who are some of the other programs on
Right.
the other side of the river?
On the other side of the world, on the other side of the river, right?
I
Yeah,
had to get my passport.
yeah. On the west side, I'm going to be meeting with them hopefully in about a week and a half. There's a very, very good flag league. They have like 300, 400 kids in this flag league. That's Bay Village, Westlake, North Olmsted, you know, picture that over there? They have a really nice flag league, and then, right? There's the CYO teams. I'll give you this example. Bay Village, St. Rayfields, right? There were 22 second, third graders, I want to say, second and third graders, that played flag football the previous year. Well, they didn't have, at that point, after that, they were supposed to go into tackle football with St. Rayfields and all those people. Out of those 22, 4 went out for tackle football. I know. That was my reaction too. Why? What happened? Kids had fun. What was the parents' excuse? You've heard it.
Don't want to get hurt.
Don't want to get hurt. He's not ready yet. It's too early. That's happening all over America. So to answer your question, I'm meeting with those people. That group of people. Okay? Those guys have a really nice flag football league. And what I'm trying to say is, hey, let's have a meeting with those parents and say, hey, before pulling the plug, can we explain this transitional game? It's a year or two, and then start looking at the 11-man. And we're hoping those 22 kids come out. And then maybe they play for St. Rayfields, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's what's going on. North Royal wants to do it, Parma, I think, wants to do it. So we're on a very eclectic kind of, let's get some teams that can play this. But as far as the pilot, as far as research is being done, as far as cameras being, let's see what's going on, the idea is to have Mentor and teams that want to help out in that league. So would you see Mentor kids on NFL commercials next year? Yeah. You know, is this going to be something like that? Probably. You know, this league that we're talking about, it would be one of the pilot focal areas of the country.
Coach, can you explain the kind of age bracket as well as, I'm not sure I truly understood the weights matching up,
right,
sizes,
right.
concept.
That's a really good question. Here's the issue. If USA Football was sitting here today, they would say, for us to say it's exactly 9 years old or 8 years old, they're saying, well, let's see what is the appropriate age. Because what happens, I think the people in Mentor would say, okay, we're pretty much done with flag football right here, so it's what, 9 years old or something like that. But some other place in Texas would say, no, that's 7 years old, you know, and okay, you start getting into arguments about something, and it really seems like the answer to that, I think down the road with research, we will be able to say, yes, this age. But the point being made is, at this point, we're trying to just, let's keep playing. So my response to, I always picture this thing around 3rd grade, and we're teachers, so I always picture grades. I'm picturing around 3rd grade or something like that. This is maybe a good time for the kid to start doing it, but could it be a little earlier or a little later? That's fine. If it's 4th grade, fine. You know, whatever that area, that district does with flag, what would be the logical time to say, all right, it's time to move and get you in equipment and do this. Okay? Because when the kids start getting a little older, flag can get a little, kids start diving for that thing, they get smacked in the face. It'd be nice to have a helmet on, then you start going, okay. Because the bigger kids get a little more aggressive, let's face it. Well, it's time to put equipment on. Okay? Then they're safer.
So to kind of add to that, we have a discussion on flag, and one of the biggest things every year is, how do we stay competitive? And I've always advocated, like we do in basketball, like we do in baseball, a league for age. Because you always get those kids that are a little bit older that make the cut, and they're, big and they're fast. So I guess to add to that, like, what's the philosophy? Okay, say we start in 3rd grade. I know that some of the tackle leagues were like 7, 8, 9 before. But to me, that's always seemed like you got a 7-year-old, you got a 9-year-old, you might have a huge 9-year-old.
Right.
And that's even a bigger problem with the 11-man right now. So as far as, do you want to get this to something where it's every age, like we're doing in baseball and basketball, or would it be a combination of ages, like 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, I think gradually it would be a combination of ages.
Right.
Okay? Now, there may be that one kid that, hey, he's a big kid, and, you got to look at where does he go, does he do the modified? Maybe he's already for the 11. I don't know, but I think you group it like 2 year, to say 3, that's getting a little, there's
Especially the
growth
older
spurts.
ladders, you get the older kids' dexterity, that's just that 2-year difference.
Right.
Can make a huge difference
Right.
as far as coordination and.
It does, and so 3 would be.
You throw exercise in there and then you really.
But you guys are, you guys deal with maybe 2-year group. I don't know. It could be this could be just 1 year. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think it's only up for discussion.
It is.
Growing as much as
2-year, I can see 3 would be.
No, I
three's
know
pushing.
tackle leagues are doing that. though.
Yeah, I know. And nobody, all over the
Warner
place is
goes
in
in, Pop
agreement
Warner
with that.
does like 8 and 9, and then if you're below a certain weight, you can play it at
Right.
10 or something like that, depending on the league.
Yeah, I
Old
think
line.
gradually there has to be that idea. And that's why it's so hard to say age right now.
Right.
It really is hard, but we will all of us will get to that. We'll get to that understanding. Because you don't want those kind of mismatches. That's not the point of this thing at all. You want to create where the matches are good.
Well, and that's what I was getting to, sorry about this, the second issue of, I got a 170-pound 5th grader.
Right.
And then I've got a 60-pound 4th grader. literally.
Right.
And so how does that happen if they both go out for this league in the same district? How do they match up?
Right, so here would be, I'm visualizing right now because I don't have proof to do anything. First of all, what's built into this is, we're going to start the game in 5 minutes. Let's match guys up. So your 70-pound guy shouldn't hardly ever even get near the big guy. All right? So you kind of match sizes up. So I'm on the line, that big guy's on the line. But do I have to stay at lineman all day, coach? No, come on, you're going to go wide receiver now, come on. But that guy goes right with you, and he plays DB, right? And they're having fun, maybe catch the ball a little bit, and the quarterback has time to throw. I mean, you're a wide receiver in youth football and the ball never gets thrown, it's kind of boring, all right? But that's good. Number 2, here's it. Okay, the bigger guy is carrying the ball. He's carrying the ball right now. And here comes the 70-pound guy. But what showed up in the scrimmages? Because the field is limited, the sidelines are tighter. The big guy doesn't have that much momentum yet. So the 70-pound kid jumps on him, and it's boom, okay? The kid could do it. When you guys play in the backyard, come on, you had small guys playing with you. but then there was never that much momentum, and you'd grab hold and bring them down. It was. Now, if I'm a parent and that big guy has just run 30 yards and he's eyeing up your 70-pound kid, your heart just skips a beat, doesn't it? That's the problem. That's the problem, and rightfully so. But by limiting the field, there's a reason to do that. Physics will tell us that yeah, less momentum, less speed. Okay, I can get on that guy and ride him down. Those are the only two answers that we have for that.
Coach Kyle, I think you're spot on with, talking about having the need for participation and fun. Because that's really what it's all about, giving them a good experience so you get more transfer from that flag level over to when they start trying to go into tackle. There's that acclimation process involved and focusing on the flag level, at least what I've seen, and giving them a good experience. I think you increase the amount of transfer and getting more of those kids coming out to tackle, and that's really one of the big ways we're going to save our sport. And I'm a 45-year-old guy, and when I was growing up, flag was a bit of a watered-down version of it, and that's really not the case anymore. And this is one of the ways we're going to keep the numbers coming out to save this sport of ours, man. I tell you what, you got to just ride on with that.
Thank you. There's two things that are coming to play here, fellas. It's fun is number one. Fun's got to be there. Number two, participation. There's your goals. Will it be a safer game? I'm not allowed to even say that. Do you know that? I can say it to you guys. But if I'm talking to New York Times, I can't say that. You know that? They say, do not mention that word. Because why? As soon as I say that, they'll go, what's your proof? What's your proof? And they'll, it'll be in the headlines. And you're like, I'm just...
Proof is common sense.
So, yeah. Physics, but I can't give the guy a statistic, and I'm sorry, there are some writers out there that are attacking. I mean, you could sit there for a half hour and explain everything, and all of a sudden you go, what in the hell is this guy saying?
Right.
I swear to God. New York Times article, I'm sitting there, this guy never played football. I mean, I'm sorry, this guy never played football, they're sitting there. But he's attacking it, he's attacked it several times in the New York Times, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting, we told him 4 times, no, this is just a transitional to 11-man football. The guy just totally ignored that. Oh, trying to change football to just 7-man. What are we talking about? We're not doing that. We're going to play 11-man football. We're just trying to get to that and do it.
And Matt, at the line, that's the way the brain learns. We learn from a less simple to a more complex.
Right.
And we need to embrace that in our sport as well, like you were saying. Yeah. Absolutely.
11-man, when you are doing a drill, and I do this on a high school level, you're tackle football, right? You know what? Teaching tackling. The two common denominators, I just always would tell you. And this is how we do it. Okay, I'm more interested in form and everything like that. What 2 things can you control? You control proximity and speed, can't you? If I want to teach tackling to a kid, I'm going to move them up very close, right? And go, okay, have speed, let's get this up, work your hips, do this, okay? But let's stay very close, do this, you know what I mean? And then you gradually move it back. But years ago, right? Years ago, what'd we do? First day, come on boys.
Hamburger grill.
Let's get that hamburger grill going. Now you line up 15 yards that way, and you're over here, kid. You just got your uniform yesterday, huh? You ever wear a helmet before? Good. Here we go. Ready? Go! Boom! Right? And here's this little kid who's been playing Barbies with his sister. I mean, God bless him. But you just put him into that? Are you kidding? That's what we did. Now you bring it closer. What's that kid going to do? All right, coach, what do you want me to do? All right, just take a step, do this, let's go. 2 weeks later, what's that kid doing? Maybe it's 5 yards away. Huh? A month later, you got a football player. You got a football player now. Okay? That's all we're talking about. Let's let that kid develop and have fun. Because they're going to have fun. The one scrimmage, just with the Parma kids, they said, oh, we heard about that, we want to just do it. Okay, I'll show up, we'll just do this thing. So here we are, We played it was like a game, ended up 24-24 tie. And they went on a riot, right? They were having a great time. Because they would, you're always in the scoring zone in a way, 40-yard line in. You always got a shot at it, right? The kid, it's on the 40-yard line, we can get there. You're way back on the 80? Forget it. Joey, you're fast, we're gonna just give you the ball, try to break away, right? Hey, we're in the 40-yard, we can get it in, you know? 1st and 10, I can get it. 4 downs, I can get that, you know? It's fun. It was fun. I'm not lying, it was fun, kids are right.
Why not utilize the youth organizations you already have in place? Instead of going to a whole other league, you have like a Great Lakes League here in Lake County.
Right.
Why not get them to just
And that,
transform?
right, I think some of the conversation, what's occurring is how many are of those separate are ready to do it? You know what I'm saying? That was mixed, that we may not be ready to do that yet, equipment, whatever, field, coaching, right?
Because they are, even Leonard's in that league,
Mhm.
Perry.
Right.
Is in that.
And then it's mostly a lot of those guys.
It was actually, they brought it up, and they didn't, to the league, and they didn't think everybody would be ready to do it this fall. So that's why we're thinking that, okay, who's the coaches that are in place that want to do this? Coach Rosati, can we get a team in Perry? Maybe we only have 10 kids in Perry, but maybe we can pull 2 kids from Madison to play on a team from Perry area.
I guess my only issue is that Democrats is a big thing. I'm telling you right now, you would alienate 20% of Wicklif's population. They couldn't play. Because I guarantee it's going to be expensive. In our league, we keep it so cheap that, because our poverty rate's at 20%. They would never be able to play in your league.
All right, so
We're going
why?
to do it through it's eventually going to evolve into the Great Lakes League. I'm just
Right.
saying, they're starting
this
out.
year? Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, this is just trying to, again,
It's just that.
let's get used to, let's see what things we have to adapt with. you
Small city
know?
like Wicklow needs it.
Right, the point is, it's gonna be launched a year from now. What we're talking about is
Just
before all these other people in America doing it.
I just want to make sure you weren't like, trying to take over a
No.
whole new like league.
No, that's not what we're
No, it's
talking
gonna be, it'll be incorporated ultimately. The goal is gonna be incorporated.
And believe me, and I can say it, Jenna's not here too, I'm gonna tell you what, Cleveland Browns are gonna help. I'm gonna say it, Cleveland Browns are gonna help. If there's some equipment things, or whatever, they're gonna help, okay? But we're at that stage where it's just, let's get enough teams to just do it so we can look at it. And invite other teams to come and look at this, and then it's gonna go.
I just thought it would be useful to have some large leagues like
Right.
that. They could say, hey,
Yeah, it's just, it's about saying, some of them, well, I don't think we'll be ready this year to do this. So fine. But here we got Leonard, if there's only 2 teams, what are they gonna do, play each other all the time? It'd be silly. But they're soloing going, hey, we scrimmaged that, so, we want to have a team or 2. They were going, we want it. So, they have, we have 4 or 6. And at least they can do it, and we can show it to people, and then, go from there.
So, Coach, are you starting to show it there? We're from South Euclid, we're from the North Coast League, and we have 16 teams, and we have a league called the C Teamers, and they're ages 5, 6, and 7. So this would be perfect for them, because we all end up with that kid, we have 11 men on the field, we only use 3.
Right.
Each other play. So I'm wondering, like, in the inner city, in North Coast League, are you bringing this concept to them now? So that if you plan on kicking this off next year, they can already put something in place so that we can have it in our hands.
Yeah, I know, I'm pretty close with Coach Bank over there, and so I know that I've been in contact about what's going on with this as well, too. So-
Okay.
So, and it's constant, communication, make sure they understand what's going on. We're actually gonna be putting on May 6th, in the evening, the time isn't set yet, we're hoping around 5 or 6 in the evening, up at Menard High School. We're actually gonna put on a demonstration of this. It's gonna be built within our flag program that we run here. We're actually gonna incorporate it and show everybody. We're gonna have some kids that have already played tackle. Now, it's not going to happen. We're not gonna have, in the fall, the kids that have played tackle go play tackle, okay? But what we're gonna do is have some of those kids that have played tackle come in, 7, 8, whatever years old, 9 years old kids, come in and actually demonstrate how this game is gonna work. They're gonna practice together a little bit, and they're gonna put on a demonstration. And I know USA, we just met with USA Football on last Thursday, 2 days ago, about this, and they're gonna come in and show a demonstration of it to everybody, so we'll send some information out about that. And I know that the Cleveland Browns are gonna be sending out a lot of information as far as that day goes, so you'll have an opportunity to bring, if parents wanna come out and see it, if you guys wanna come out and see how it actually goes. other high school coaches, everybody can come out and see it. It'll be May 6th, and we'll send field and get stuff.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
We can sit here and show little things and talk about it, but you know what, you gotta get out in the field and see it. And that's why we scrimmaged last year. You know, it was a year and a half of just sending ideas back and forth to USA Football, we're talking about, and we said, hey, why don't we just have a few scrimmages, see this thing? And I called Jim McQuaid, Jim goes, yeah, we can get some guys there, and maybe Chewy at North Royal, yeah, look at this one. And we just did it, like it was a demonstration, like they're talking about. And there's the parents watching, and the kids are playing, the kids are laughing it up, having a good time. And there's one little scene there, if you notice, one of the worst handoffs you ever see in your life. It was number 65, he kind of got the ball, like, you know, well, guess, that kid never played quarterback in his life. That was the first snap he ever took. But he was going, you mean I can play quarterback today? Come on, kid, take a snap, you know. Yeah, but he laughed, had fun, you know. Obviously, with more practice, but the poor kid was, I've never played this before. Okay, Dan, go ahead, hand her off, you know. And so the smiles on the faces, it's fun. It's good, it was fun. It was a fun time. I'm taking a lot of time.